Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Riverside. Can you believe it's already the end of January 2018?
Yeah.
So, just by way of introduction, my name's Dean, and this evening we're just going to be running through a project that a few of us in the room are busy working on at the moment. We're very fortunate this evening that our guest speaker is Mark Bishop. Just by way of introduction, Mark's got a background in insurance, and he's been working on this project for a little while now, but why I really respect him is in terms of what he's been able to do outside of his traditional career, but what he's been able to apply through this business and give him and his family some serious options in the current economic climate. So just over to Mark.
Good evening, everybody. Are you all doing well?
Yep.
So who had a good day today?
Yeah.
Month end. Only one person had a good day.
No.
And the rest of you? Not a good day. Yeah, so as Dean already mentioned, end of the month, eh? So 1 month down. 2018, how was your first month back at work? Any good? Who wishes they were still on holiday? Me, I wish I was still on holiday. So yes, my background is in insurance. So what I'm going to be doing now for the next 4.5 hours is run through some short-term insurance policies. Is that okay? So I'm going to lock the door and I'm not going to let you guys out. Is that okay? No. So yeah, my background is insurance. Why I'm sort of standing up here is that I've been involved in the insurance industry for many years. I used to work for one of the big corporates, one of the big banks. Got out of that about a decade ago and started my own business, and I still run my own business today. What started to happen though a couple of years ago was I became a little bit frustrated, a little bit, let's say, disillusioned, because I just found I wasn't getting ahead. No matter what I was doing, I just seemed to be time bankrupt. And I was frustrated because I started thinking to myself, well, what do you actually do? And you may relate to this, you may not relate to this, because it's quite easy to talk, but what do you actually do when you're frustrated and you're looking for a way out? But we all have a profession, we all do something to generate an income. Would you agree?
Mm.
And that income, we use that money to pay for the stuff that we have. Now, if you're frustrated with that, what do you then do? Do you now go back and restudy? Do you look for a different profession? It's not an easy decision. You know, would you agree?
Yes.
So what started to happen was I started to look for other avenues, other opportunities, because I was looking for different ways to supplement my income. I wanted options at the end of the day. And a friend of mine said to me, Mark, you need to come through to Mshlanga, come and check what these guys are doing. They're doing something pretty unique. I went through a good couple of years ago now. We had a look at this, and the rest is history. And I'll get back a bit more into that a bit later. But literally what we do here is we are a couple of different business owners. We have different professions. We're looking for something different. We're wanting options. And that's what I'm going to run through tonight. I'm going to run through a business concept that some of us here have had a look at. It's created some different opportunities, options for us. And you may like this or you may not like this. But my disclaimer is, if you don't like it, that's fine, because we're not here to get you. All that'll happen is that you'll leave here with exactly what you came in here with. Would you agree?
Mm.
Okay, so that's my get out of jail, that's your get out of jail. So please just sit back and really enjoy. So I'm pretty much going to take about 20-25 minutes and then we'll be done. So 2018. Who feels like this little guy over here? You start the year off, you start working as hard as you can, you're on the rat race, you're doing what you need to do, and you hope and you pray that you don't get spat out. And some of you might have had a day like that today. You might have had a month like that, I don't know. But I do remember what used to happen was you used to work, you used to get a couple of weeks leave at the end of the year, and that's pretty much when you hope that happened, because then you'd go and leave and then you'd come back and you start the next year off. But everybody just seems to be working harder and harder today. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. As one pushes the time button, because time's going to move on, 2028 seemed like a long way away. Not really. It's 10 years, 120 months. One of those have already gone like that. And that was pretty quick. I can guarantee you two things. In 10 years' time, you're going to be 10 years older. So work out your age now. Add 10 years. Aren't you glad you're sitting down? Take your spouse's age, add 10 years to that. Or you ain't going to be here. That's pretty much all I can guarantee. And I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't want you to answer this, but I want you to think about this. Doing what you're doing now, today in your current profession, in your career, as time moves on, is it going to give you what you want? What do you want? Maybe you want more time, maybe you want more money, more flexibility, more options. Because we are all on a path, and as time moves on, I don't want to be in a worse off position in 2028. I definitely don't want to be in the same position. I want to be in a better position. And better for me is better for me. You decide what's better for you. But would you agree that if you had to go back 10 years, so let's say you woke up in 2028 and you look back now, doing what you're doing, is it going to give you what you want? Because the answer to that is, if it's not, then surely logic would dictate that you'd have to change what you're doing if you want a different result. Does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, Einstein said, if you keep hitting your head and you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, that's insanity. It's never going to happen. You have to change what you're doing. So I'm going to show you something that you might be able to apply and then change what you're doing if you want a different result. Okay? Yeah. So, how does it work? Very, very simple. We are the guys at the end of the food chain. We buy stuff and we buy it for 100% of whatever it costs. It gets manufactured for a fraction of that cost. In South Africa, about 12 cents in every single rand. So if you think about it, if I go and buy this little widget, and let's say I bought it for 100 rand in Incredible Connection, when it left the factory, probably somewhere in China, it didn't cost 100 rand. Would you agree?
Yes.
Probably cost whatever, 10 bucks, 30 rand, somewhere around there. So where does all the money go? Well, most of it gets eaten up by the whole middleman process. Now, ladies and gents, would you agree this is not rocket science? We all know this, okay? But what can you actually do about it? Not much. I mean, I was chatting to a farmer not so long ago. How much does a litre of milk cost? Sorry, how much? Okay. 13, 14 rand, 12 rand, depending on where you're getting your milk. But it's leaving the farm at about 4 rand. What changed with the milk? Nothing. We just pay more for it, and you don't have any say in it. Would you agree that model is very entrenched in the way we do business today?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of people funding that process. Okay. But would you agree that the way we do business today, things change? Or let me ask you a question. The way you do business today, if you went back 10 years, would you say you're doing business differently today? And if you fast forward the picture, would you say business is going to change? It's going to evolve. And generally it's technology that changes the way that we do stuff. Well, let me ask you another question. Who was the last person when did you last go into the bank?
The other day.
Has anybody cashed a check in the last month? Okay, I see there's some youngsters here. Do you know what a check is, guys? It's one of the things that pay for your side. Yeah, okay. Things change, ladies and gents, and that's exactly what happens here, what's happened here. We have access to a virtual mall. And what the virtual mall has done, it's pushed us closer towards the manufacturer, and because we can shorten that distribution chain, there's money that's available on the table. Okay, so that same analogy that I used with a clicker, when it left China, there was no extra added value in the product. It just went through the whole distribution line, and me and you end up paying 100 rand for it, when it costs actually 10 or 30 rand. Okay. So, how would you access this? Well, either internet, email, or phone. So let me see by a show of hands. Who here likes to who sits on the internet every single day? Okay, who's on their phone every single day? Who's on their phone, on the internet, on their phone? And for some of you, you ain't putting up your hands no matter what I say. That's okay. So you choose how you want to access it. Okay. Anybody that we do business with has to guarantee 2 things. Number 1 is that there's a home delivery within 48 hours. Now, what does that mean to you? What that means is if you're going to order the stuff, you're going to get it pretty quickly. Now, I don't know what your experience is like with ordering stuff over the net, but you want it quickly. You don't want to be waiting 6 months for it. Would you agree? Okay. Number 2, they've got a 6-month, 180-day money-back guarantee on anything that you purchase. Now, think about that. That's pretty good. I mean, have you ever heard of a company giving you a 6-month guarantee on anything? Or ladies, let me ask you a question. If you go into one of the retail stores and you buy a shade of lipstick, and you put it on, it looks good in the store, and you take it home and you realize that it doesn't actually meet your expectations, can you take it back to the store the next day? You've got no chance. What are you going to do with it? Probably stick it in the drawer somewhere, and maybe one day you might use it, eh? In this company you can. So what do you think that would say about the products? The products would have to be good. They'd have to be world class. Otherwise, don't put them on the platform. Okay. So, one of the joint ventures we have is with Vodacom. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because if you understand this, you're going to understand the balance of the joint ventures that we have. I don't know if you're aware of how the cell phone industry works. At a certain point in time, you walked into a store, you chatted to a salesperson, you filled in a form, and for that you're going to have a contract. Not so.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know that the person that owns that store takes anywhere from between 8 to 18 cents of every single rand of every single phone call that you make? Now, if you're like me, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew they made money. I didn't know how they made their money, but they made money. Now, think about that. If your cell phone bill is 1,000 rand a month, that means some other individual is making about, let's say, 100 rand out of you every single month. Did they invent the network?
No.
Did they invent the cell phone? Okay, so have you ever received a birthday card from them? No. But what do you get? Every single 2 years you get, dear valued customer, you're due for an upgrade, please come in. That's what it is. But now that I've told you about that, do you think you can run out of here and go and deal directly with Vodacom?
No.
You've got no chance. Why? Because Vodacom will not deal with a single person. We are singular. But what happens if I had the ability to be able to link all the cell phone bills together, add it together, and go to Vodacom and say, Mr. Vodacom, I've got 100 people that you can deal with. Do you think I'll get a better deal? Absolutely. And that so-called middleman money that gets paid to that retail outlets, we're able to take that money and pay that back to our individuals because Vodacom doesn't care. All they want is they want their contracts out in the marketplace. You with me? Okay. If you understand that basic concept, all we've done is we've taken it and we've just rolled it out through many other different industries. So there's a lot of other products, goods and services here. I'm just going to go through them very briefly. Netfros, I like to call that relationship insurance. So for all the ladies here, you get your normal monthly supply of flowers. Would you agree? From the men, they just speed dial it through. Yes, men? Ladies, yes? Anyway, MWeb, internet service provider and insurer. I would assume for most of you here, you're going to have some form of insurance, car or motor. Okay. Would you agree that for most of you, you'd be using those type of services, products every single month?
Yes.
Okay. Those are the non-exclusives. These are now the exclusives. What I mean by that is you can only get hold of this through this platform. They're nowhere else. Okay. So if you have to have a look at the top range over here, that's a ladies' skincare range. They call themselves Artistry. It's a global brand. They are the #1 internet range in the world. Okay, not the #1 internet range in Durban, in South Africa. #1 internet range in the world. Their big claim to fame is that they do the #1 anti-aging. So, ladies, is anti-aging good or bad? Okay. Now, I'm a guy. I don't really know too much about makeup. I mean, my wife only lets me wear lipstick every second Friday if I'm really, really lucky. But I know that my wife goes through a certain regime every single day. What does she do? She wakes up, puts something on. A bit later, she touches it up. A bit later, she puts a really expensive stuff on. And what does she do the next day? She repeats the process. And will she do that today, tomorrow, for the rest of her life? Absolutely. Very, very clever business model. Okay. But let's not forget about the men, because believe it or not, men have also discovered that we've got skin. Okay. Practical, basic example. You know those blades that go 4 or 5 times the speed of sound? How much does a pack of 4 replacement blades cost out there today? They're over 300 rand. Quite pricey. We get the same blades repackaged for us. I get through this business at 120 rand. Where would you buy your blades? 300 rand, 120 rand. Okay. Over here, this is more in the health industry. Who here likes to take some form of multivitamin? Okay. And 10 years ago, would you have taken multivitamins? No, maybe some of the more established guys. Why? Because today we live in a fast-paced world and we're trying to put something back in our body. We're stressed, we're looking for something else to give us the energy. This range over here is called Nutrilite. They are the #1 multivitamin brand in the world. Okay, they do over 5 billion US, just that brand. They're all certified organic. There are some healthy drinks out there, or we've got a range of healthy drinks, protein bars, that type of stuff. No sugar added to it. Because a lot of the, would you agree, a lot of the energy drinks out there are not so good for you. Okay. Water purification. How's your water? Do you think the water that you get out the taps today is good?
No.
Not really. let me put it to you this way: you're either going to put your water through some sort of purifying system, or otherwise your kidneys are going to do it for you. Okay, that's called an eSpring. It's an in-home water purification system, waterless cookware. There's a way to lose weight, lifestyle, and then the basic, boring, mundane stuff that every single person here gets in their car, goes to the stores every single month. All the stuff that you're going to find underneath your kitchen sinks, in your bathrooms, everything to wash your dog, to your house, all there. So there's hundreds and hundreds of different product lines over there. So chuck out a number. What do you think, as you as a family spend in your capacity running through your house every single month on goods and services like that?
Easily 10, 15 grand.
Would you agree it's a different number for a different family? I mean, I see there's some young bachelors here, they're probably stressing because they're thinking 10 grand. Hey, no, they're probably going to spend a grand, like $800 on flowers and $100 on blades. But I can promise you, as your family gets bigger, you're going to spend more money. But what do we all do is we all spend our money individually. What happens if I could take all of your cell phones and add it together? Ladies' skincare, insurances, all these products, and I could add it together. What's going to happen? You're going to have a big number, and if you're going to have a big number, what do you have? You've got buying power and leverage. Would you agree?
Yep.
And that's exactly what we do here. We've got a system that we can actually put all this together. So, what we've had a look at is we've had a look at 3 different concepts. We've kept the good, and we've gotten rid of the bad of these concepts. So the first concept that we work with is we have like a type of a loyalty system. Now, loyalty systems of today seem to be the buzzword. Everybody you chat to has got some form of loyalty. Okay, so I don't know everything about all the loyalty cards, but what I do understand in principle is that if I go to a certain store, I buy something there, what ends up happening is they give me some sort of voucher or some sort of points, but I can only spend it in that store. Would you agree?
Yes.
I can't generally take it and spend it somewhere else, for most of them. And you can't retire on it. Or have you ever met anybody who's cashed in his e-bucks and retired? It doesn't work like that. It's not geared to work like that. So what our loyalty card does is it puts physical cash into your bank account, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. The second concept that we work with is we have a franchise. Now, why do franchises work? Franchises in principle work is that you don't actually have to know much about the product. As long as there's a recipe, as long as you follow the system, there's a pretty good chance you'll be successful. Would you agree? In other words, I don't need to know anything about chicken. But if I buy a KFC or a Nando's or one of those franchises and I follow the system, I should make money. Would you agree? Okay. What's the number one problem with owning a franchise?
Money.
It's expensive. Your barrier to entry is very, very expensive. For most decent franchises, they're millions of rands and above. Okay, and most people just don't have that kind of money. So what we've done is we've kept the system and we've gotten rid of the barrier to entry. And the third concept that we work with is how do you actually take this idea, this concept, and get it out into the marketplace? Well, there's only 2 ways that I'm aware of. One is advertising. There's different mediums for that, but they all have different price ranges and they can be pricey. Would you agree? The other way is you can network this. Now, what is networking? Networking is talking, word of mouth to people. Okay. So what we do is we work off the back of 2 different companies here now. The first company is a company called Amway, and the second company is a company called Network 21. Now, you may have heard of them, you may not have heard of them. What happens though is Amway have been around for a long, long time. Globally, they operate in over 100 countries and territories around the world. They've been in operation for pretty much about almost 60 years. Okay. But the system and the way that they used to work was direct selling. So what used to happen was they used to employ a whole bunch of salespeople. You would run around, let's say a product was washing powder. You'd buy a whole bunch of the stuff, you'd stockpile it in your garage, you'd knock on your next door neighbor's house, and you would then try and sell that person a product. And whatever you could sell, you would make money. Does that make sense? Now, would you agree that's quite hard to do? Not everybody has the time to be able to do something like that, okay? Secondly, the system was like this. Let's say that was me. I went out, I recruited these guys. Let's say that was Mr. X. That person goes and recruits. There's a direct benefit from them to him to me. But that person over here, Mrs. Y, joined the same day as Mr. X. There's no benefit in it for him. because for her, because unless she actually worked the system, she's not going to benefit. Would you agree? And that's true. I mean, you can't just sort of sign up, stand there and expect money, start making money. So you add busy lifestyle and actually trying to sell things to people. It was hard to add on top of your busy life. Okay. But the system has fundamentally changed. The internet has caught up with this and it revolutionized the model. So if you have fallen asleep, it's now time to wake up, because I'm going to explain to you how it's changed and how you actually make money out of this. Okay. So we don't do that anymore. So there you are, the happy couple. What we suggest here is we suggest that you join an existing team. Okay. We've got a track record. We know exactly what we're doing. Okay. There you are. You're going to get an access number. So like you go to any sort of retail store and you get a card that you log in. Okay. You're going to go online and you're going to go and shop for whatever your family wants to purchase on a monthly basis. There's your shopping basket over there. Very, very easy. So what I suggest is just keep shopping, but just change your point of purchase. Let me ask you a question. Who thinks that internet shopping is here to stay?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you take the current market now and you fast forward the picture, do you think there's going to be more people joining or less people joining? Okay. Absolutely. I don't even think we're touching the bottom of the scale of how many people are getting online. Everything is going online. Okay. There you are. There's a point scale from 3% all the way up to 21%. But this is where it starts to get very, very interesting. Somebody that you don't know joins underneath you because they've been introduced by somebody above you. They go online and they shop, but they take that person's turnover and they add it to your turnover. So you start to benefit from everybody underneath you. They're shopping. Whether you introduce them into the system, whether you know them in the system, irrespective of wherever they're placed in the country. Now that's quite clever. Because think about it. Let's say you go to one of the big retailers and you're buying your stuff there at the end of the month. And you turn around. What do you see behind you? A whole bunch of people doing exactly what you do. Would you agree? Imagine taking all their stuff, adding it to yours, and you get a benefit out of it. Because that's exactly what we do here. And as the turnover increases, so you get pushed up a sliding scale from 3% all the way up to 21%, which is a kickback of money into your bank account. Okay, so as an example, let's say I'm on 21%, I've spent 1,500 Rand buying the stuff that I have to buy. That means they're going to put 315 Rand cash into my bank account. Now that may be a lot of money, it may not be a lot of money. I don't know your situation. But think of it this way. You have to buy that stuff, the washing powder, the toothpaste, the pasta, the coffee. Would you agree? Imagine being able to get physical money back into your bank account for that. Very, very clever. Okay. If you want to make further money out of this, what we show you what to do through our franchising system is we show you how to set up multiple teams, multiple databases all over the country. And what starts to happen then is you start to profit share out of that. Okay. So think about it. Does anybody here know anybody that lives in Joburg? Do you know somebody that lives in Cape Town? Okay. Do they brush their teeth? Well, I hope so. Do they put deer on every single day? Absolutely. And are they going to do that forever? We hope so. So think about it, having a shop. It's like having a shopping mall. One in Joburg, one in Cape Town, and one in Poffa. And you start to profit share them because you've shown them a very, very clever way to shop. Ladies and gents, I can't make it any more simpler than that. Okay. The only difference between a lot of us now is I actually profit share in the stuff that we have to buy every single month. You make some of the other retailers, their shareholders profit share. Okay. So money. 100 households underneath you. So remember I said we network this. What does networking mean? It's word of mouth. Who here goes onto Facebook? I'd say all of you should be putting up your hand. Okay. All your friends, did you find all of them? Or did you find them through other friends? You found them through other friends. That, ladies and gents, that's social networking. There's no difference here. The only difference is there you don't get paid for it, here you actually do. Okay. So for 100 households, it's not you finding 100 households, because when I saw that, I stressed a bit. I thought, I don't know 100 people. But what you do is you talk to 7 to 10 people, you talk to 7 to 10 people, and that's how you find 100. That means you're going to earn about 180,000 Rand extra for the year. So what's it? That's 10 grand, 15 grand a month. So now what will that do for you? I don't know. Maybe you take that extra money and you put it into the bond. Maybe you want to use the money to put one of your kids in a private school. Maybe you pack it away for a holiday. I don't know. It's different things for different people. What I'd like to do is maybe just call up a couple of people here at different backgrounds, they're at different levels, all the way from the Leaders Club, all the way to the Golds and Silvers, to maybe come up to the front to give you just their name and occupation so that you can see that these are people, real live people actually doing this, that are actually wanting different options. So if I can please ask the guys just to come up to the front.
Hi, I'm Yana, and I'm a chiropractor.
Hi everybody, I'm Eunice and I have an accounting business.
Hi there, I'm Jason and I'm a chartered accountant.
So more and more people get added by other people, get added by you. That 100 now grows to 200 households. What is that going to mean? Well, that's an extra 300 grand a year, 20 grand, 25 grand a month. What will that start to mean for you? Don't know. For me and my wife, what that meant for us is that my wife stopped working. We've got a young family. We wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom, and she's been a stay-at-home mom now for many years. That was a choice. Maybe you absolutely love what you're doing, but maybe you want to maybe not work Saturdays. Maybe take off Fridays. Because would you agree that when you start getting money coming in, additional money, remember you're not leaving your career, you're still doing what you're doing, and you've got extra money coming in, would you agree it's going to start giving you options, choices, and you can choose what you want to do with your day? And that's what it is. 300 households, an extra 50, 60, 70,000 Rand a month. I think that's some pretty decent money. For most serious professionals, that's going to give them some nice options. I've got somebody in the room that I'll introduce you through to a bit later, Adam and Lee. They'd set that up in a very, very short period of time, and Lee, the wife, walked away from her work many, many years ago now. And we work with people in and around the country that have set this up and have set much, much more than that. There's no cap to this, ladies and gents. There's no limit to how many teams you can build. You choose where you want to go. And remember, this works globally, or more than 100 countries. I mentioned Network 21. Network 21 is our franchising system. What I love that is I didn't have to figure anything out. My background is insurance. I came into this environment and I started to listen to the system. I started to follow the system because everything was worked out. And if you can follow a system, the results are predictable. Because we've got access to CDs, books and seminars which teach you everything. And it's on audio CD. So your friend that's sitting in Joburg in that traffic, you could be sitting here in Durban, they could be sitting up in Joburg, they're listening to the same audio information from you, and they're starting to listen to it in their own time. And that's amazing. Because how do you train up 10 people, 100 people? You've got to do it. But if there's a system to do it for you, it's not you that's the magic. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what we have is that next month, the 17th of February, we've got a function which is called the Nuts and Bolts. And what a Nuts and Bolts is we put it together to bring a lot of new people into the environment for us to explain exactly what you need to practically do in this business. What are the nuts and the bolts? How do you actually add this on top of your life? How does the money work? What do you practically need to do? So my suggestion to you is chat to the person that you're working with, find out a bit more about that, and come and sit and listen. Come and check it out for yourself. Because the only way you're going to believe or understand is actually by checking it yourself. Would you agree? Okay, so I'm pretty much done now. So I'm just going to close off by saying I've shown you something different. And I'll go back to my original question. Is doing what you're doing now going to give you what you want? Because if not, take a chance. Come and check it out for yourself, and then you decide. So I'm done. I'd really just like to hand over to Adam. Adam's background is him and Lee are both chartered accountants. They built it up to that 50, 60,000 Rand a month, and has given them some pretty unique options. And there's definitely nobody better in the room just to run through the last step. So thank you very much.
Good evening, guys. Okay, so I asked myself exactly that question that Mark asked of you guys just now. When I first saw this project, I said to myself, is what I'm doing going to get me where I want to be? And the answer was pretty eye-opening, because at that stage of my life, you know, Lee and I were both professionals, we were both in a chartered accounting practice, we were both working our brains out. Just listen to this, because we had money. We had nice things. We had a nice house, we had nice cars, we had nice kids, they were at private schools. You know, we went to, sometimes, yeah. We went on nice holidays. It was all great, save for the fact that we were working 12, 14, 16 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, and trying to jam our lives into that little bit of extra time that was available at the end of the year, or, you know, maybe one day a weekend or a long weekend every now and then. And honestly, like, that's where most of us spend our entire lives. We didn't want that. We wanted something different. But here's the thing is, and maybe I'm shallow, like, I didn't want to cut my lifestyle in order to have different things. Okay. So the result of that was that we were looking for ways to create something different, a different result on top of what we were doing. And we tried property, we tried the stock market, we speculated, we invested, we did all sorts of things. We made money, we lost money, we made money, we lost money. You know, all the things you guys are trying right now, okay? And then we saw this. And I'll be blunt with you guys, like, I personally saw this and thought, wow, that looks quite interesting. I'd be willing to give that a go. I can't do it. This is what I said to myself. I can't do it, but I know some people that could. Maybe I can make some money out of it. Lee was completely different. Lee took one look and said, I absolutely hate that. Okay. But she trusted me enough just to take another step down the path. And that's really all that, like, I'm not going to talk for long now. That's all that we're going to suggest to you this evening. Tonight is not about some big business decision. Tonight is just, hey, does it make enough sense? Does what Mark have to say make enough sense to research further? If the answer to that is yes, then you can take this on a trial basis for 3 months, walk down a path with us, and research from the inside. And as you're going down the path, we believe that you'll get more and more insight into what we're doing, that you'll decide to take it seriously. But you make your mind up for yourself. We're all adults, you can all do that. Like, decide, no, I don't want to do this. That's fine. Even if you decide that tonight, that's fine. But I'm going to make a couple of suggestions to you now. Like, this is the path that Mark's led you along. We're sitting over there at the next step. You are going to buy stuff. If you haven't already bought stuff this month, like, today's the end of the month, you got paid, or you got paid a few days ago, you're going to buy stuff. Okay, you're going to keep buying stuff through the month. Do you want to pay full price, or do you want a discount?
Discount.
Good. Hey, we're on the same page. Fantastic. If you want the discounts that we've got available, if you want to participate in what we're doing, you need to have a number. Same as you have a Vodacom number, Discovery number, whatever it might be. You need a number so you can go online, you can shop, you can get the discount straight away. Does that make sense? What's going to happen though is, as soon as you're doing that, now you're kind of kicking the tires of the thing. You're test driving it, you're buying the blades and making sure they work, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Ladies, you don't have to do this. Okay. But you're doing all of that stuff. While you're doing that, what's going to happen is the team's going to start to grow anyway. And you're going to benefit from those people that stand in the queue behind you. Now you can test drive the business side of things and the product side of things at the same time. So our suggestion is, let's start at the beginning. Number one, spend another 10 minutes with the person that invited you here. Ask them maybe to show you practically how this will work for you. They'll tailor make a package that'll suit where you're at so that you can take this further. Okay. Part of that is going to be to get a number, as I've spoken about. There's some bad news attached to that, but there's also some good news, so I'll go through that in a minute. And then step number 3 is come to that training. You got 2 weeks, it's 2.5 weeks until that training. Come to the training, but maybe talk to the person that invited you here about how you can go to that training with a couple of your connections, your friends, your contacts, because that's how you can fast track this process. Make sense? Good news and bad news. Okay. The bad news is it's going to cost you some money. Look at your shoes. Depends what shoes you're wearing. I'm going to be blunt. But look at your shoes. Chances are, for the price, not slops, I'm sorry. But for the price of your shoes, you
That's all
I'm
good
embarrassed
fun.
him, I'm sorry. For the price of your shoes, you can own a business. Okay, you can own a business. That's the bad news. But here's the truth. Like, did anybody come here this evening to look at a business thinking it was going to be free? No. Nobody's willing to put their hands up on it. So of course it's not free. It's going to cost you a bit of money. But our suggestion is make a decision quickly, as soon as you can. Because the sooner you make a decision, the sooner you slot into the team, the sooner you start to benefit. And remember, we're only asking for a commitment for a trial period. That's all. So, have a coffee with the person that invited you here. There's a great coffee shop or restaurant across the driveway. I'd suggest you go and sit there for a few minutes, have a chat, and then make the decision that's right for you. But we really suggest and recommend that you just walk along a path alongside us. I'd really like to thank Mark. Very busy, very successful guy in his own right, in his own industry. But in this room, what we really respect about what Mark and Nikki have done is they've got out of their comfort zones, applied themselves in a different way, and created some very, very substantial financial options for themselves. So thanks very much, Mark. We'll see you across the driveway.